Dobrodošli. Welcome back to the Upshot, where we are on to part 2 of Novak Djokovic.
Second serve, if you will.
Second serve.
It's too good.
Titles don't get more crisp than that.
Well, that's lovely.
Yeah.
We're just tucking in some traditional Serbian cuisine, are we?
We've just finished our Pleškavica.
Pleškavica.
It looks like a kebab. It's a kebab.
It's sort of a kebab
We're
bread.
looking at Serbian food. It's like a Subway sub.
I've actually eaten something very similar in Slovenia. I think it must be.
Looks delicious.
Yeah, that region.
Pleškavica.
It
A
is
bit of Manuka
delicious.
honey.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has the grains in the millet that I'm hoping for.
I think it can be customised to be quite Novak.
Yeah.
So where we left you was Novak he basically established himself as an equal to Nadal and Federer, one of the true greats. He'd also revealed that he had some slightly fruity sort of scientific views.
Dinner arrangements.
He diagnosed his gluten intolerance with a bit of bread on the outside. He'd given up Robinson's fruit and barley and was just drinking Manuka honey and algae.
Pure, yeah.
And he's just moving shit with his mind, crucially. So, yeah, pretty fruity, but everyone's sort of, that was just quite good fun back then. Until 2020 swung around. He actually started the year very well. He won the Australian Open yet again, his 17th Grand Slam. The Australian Open's sort of his most fruitful. You're looking like I've got that wrong.
No, you haven't got it wrong. I'm just trying to remember it. Who did he beat in
It all blur into
2020?
one.
They
Yeah.
do. I can't remember the Australian Open before. This was the time of the bushfires, wasn't it, as well?
That's good knowledge.
Who did he beat?
Dominic Thiem.
He beat Team in the final.
Yeah.
Did he? That
5-setter.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Oh, okay.
So he's
Wow, he
beaten
can-
Dominic Thiem in a
That's
5-set
very
thriller. He was
good.
2-1 down, as I recall.
Yeah.
He served about 13
If memory
aces.
serves, I believe it was.
Serve accuracy of 84%. Interesting. Yeah. So he started that year well. Another Grand Slam, 70. I think it's clear at this point that he's going to overtake Nadal and Federer, isn't it?
Surely.
Because what was the magic number? 20?
20.
Nadal kept picking them up though, because Nadal
Yeah.
Nadal won his last one in about 22.
But
or
the pace
something,
of it was like Djokovic
yeah.
was winning 3 for
And
every one
Djokovic was
for
still
Nadal.
pretty young by this point.
And
He still
Roger
had a
Federer,
good-
you might say,
years.
to use his words, he'd given up. Which is weird.
It's not the story of the guy that just gives up every time.
So Roger's fading as a force. Novak's really tightening his grip on GOAT status. And then COVID breaks out. And it's pretty clear that sport is going to be really fucked by this because obviously you can't have crowds, can't have people together. Tennis grinds to a halt. Everything grinds to a halt. And early on, Novak Djokovic says, if I have to take a vaccine in order to return to tennis, I'm not doing that. I'm not putting that in my body, which is quite controversial at the time. But more controversial is probably when his wife pops up on Instagram sharing a video that suggests coronavirus is spread by 5G phone masts. Do you remember that?
I didn't
Theory.
realise she'd done that. I don't actually follow her, but I
Good
remember
follow.
the Huawei. Was that was what it was?
Yeah, because we'd recently put up a lot of 5G phone masts. Actually, it must have been worldwide. If you
You
know.
personally.
Yeah.
or-
Yeah, we the upshot in our sort of
Pre-upshot days.
the day job. But it must have been a worldwide panic. Was it just that
Yeah.
5G was coinciding? I've never quite got my head around that theory.
I think it's because it's mental.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
it's
I
quite
think-
hard to get your head around.
I think
isn't
it's because she has conversations with this over dinner with Pierre and Tesla, the Labradoodles.
Who are very
who
concerned.
just, she says pretty much anything and they'll nod their heads.
Anyway, so Yelena shared that and there was outcry and she sort of rode back in that way that people do where they're like, I just think it's interesting. I'm open to ideas about what's going on here, that sort of thing. Anyway, the main tennis tour does stop during COVID, but Novak, he needs to get his fix of tennis glory. And so he decides to launch a Balkan-wide tennis tour called the Adria Tour. Series of tournaments. I think the first one's in Belgrade and then it goes around a bit, various other countries. And so, I remember it well. The rest of us were sort of like tuning in each day to see Chris Whitty say, next slide, please. And the rules were a bit more relaxed in Belgrade. So Novak puts on this tournament where there's full crowds. There was supposed to be some social distancing. I think in the second event there was, but in Belgrade there was none in the crowd. And the players are like hugging after games. They're playing basketball together. It's just like business as usual. And people are a bit like, is this necessarily a good idea? I think
doesn't seem
Yeah.
right.
you got a picture of Novak amid a crowd of like I think ball kids.
I don't know if that's going to
Fellow
spread
players.
COVID, is
That's
it?
about as tightly packed as you saw anyone during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a picture of the crowd. It's a full crowd.
I don't
a full
know
crowd. It's
if
a normal
those
tennis event.
1,000 tightly packed people are going to spread COVID.
Yeah.
Do you remember back in the day where people were like, oh, if you get a product from outside, like there's just the rumours were just insane. If you get a product from outside but you leave it in the heat will get rid of the
Sunlight,
COVID.
Yeah. When
Dettol
people
the-
bring their shopping home from the supermarket and
Dettol lip.
yeah.
I was one of those freaks.
Were you?
I went to the shop. I won't say which, but you can imagine which one it is with a man with a voice like this. And I was wearing glasses and a mask and gloves, and what a loser.
But everyone
Yeah.
was, I guess, weren't they? I never did gloves, and I never Dettol.
Project Fear really worked on me. though.
Did you map out where the 5G masks were as well?
I didn't quite go into that. It was more just I was like, as someone who is deeply cynical and was very critical of the government at the time, I was like, oh my God, the government are completely right. I must just be, washing my whole body in bleach every day. What an idiot.
It was a mad time for all of us.
I should have done the Djokovic and been like, I do not agree with what your government is saying. Should have done that.
So he then, off the court, throws some parties around the tour as well. They're absolutely having it off the
You're gonna
court.
throw some parties, aren't you?
So these videos pop up of the players. They're in a nightclub. They're limboing. They're dancing topless to some pretty awful Balkan trance music. And there's a bit where they're doing the Macarena to the song "A Little Party Never Killed Nobody," which felt a bit on the nose during COVID. We've got some.
Ironically, it did kill some people.
Yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah.
We've got some footage here.
Yes, I mean this
That's
is
Djokovic doing the Macarena, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
this is
And sort of dancing in general.
pretty
There's quite a good.
aggressive flouting of the rules, isn't
Yeah,
it?
there's quite a good bit where someone does the worm coming up.
So that's
Zverev,
Zverev,
yeah.
Yeah, is Zverev going to do the worm?
Someone takes their top off and does the worm. Maybe it is Federer.
Yeah,
I remember watching
this is
these
just
quite jealous though.
this is just a nightclub.
Yeah,
Having a great time.
When was this? This was like May
Zverev's
2020.
topless and he's got a bucket on his head. They're probably like,
Do you think they've had anything to drink, or they're just like athletes are just like, oh, I smelled some vodka. Oh my god, I'm so mental.
that was the worm, by the way. We
That
missed
was-
it. Sorry. It was a brief worm. Look at the floor.
That is the most pathetic attempt at a
Was
worm.
that Djokovic doing the worm?
I don't know if it was. There's another worm there. They all got their tops
got-
off now. It's
What
sort
on
of. It's
earth
like
has
a wedding
happened?
at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
There's such an amazing. Oh,
There's a bit of piano music as well. There was some limboing as well.
and Djokovic just
Is this
sitting on the stage.
is this the
drinking.
end of the night when everyone's got a bit sad drunk?
Yeah, well, and there's
And
a piano.
Djokovic. Is that Zverev on the piano? And Djokovic singing.
It's such a bizarre combination of vibes at that place because they've got these like chandeliers, but also it's like one of the trashiest club.
Yeah, and like everyone's in like ball gowns and like black tie, and then the shirts
Weird.
come off. But I do remember watching it, thinking, I'm fucking jealous that they get. To
Oh
do
no,
that.
it
They
looks
look like they're
great.
having a
Do you remember
time.
like New Zealand just shut the whole country, and then inside the country it was like full crowds and parties. And I just remember being like, oh, that is so great.
Yeah.
Fucks
And
them
the,
long term, then,
they're
isn't it?
like the water parks in Wuhan. They were like when they sort of cleared it there. And it's like
That was
look,
a
you
fucking
guys
piss
you
take.
guys can't fucking do that.
Yeah, they were having like a parade and shit. It was like, fuck off. You are kidding me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
that felt
should
unfair.
actually do a COVID episode.
Yeah, just a Patreon on COVID.
All the athletes.
Is it time enough time has passed now?
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
But anyway, I remember being quite jealous of Djokovic, and it's safe to say the reaction to the Adria Tour was pretty bad, even before it went wrong. Of course, our old friend Nick Kyrgios had something to say.
Nick,
Do you want to do
you
this?
can't be dancing on tables, money grabbing your way around Europe or trying to make a quick buck hosting the next exhibition. That is just so selfish, bro.
He was really kicking off about it repeatedly, wasn't he?
He
Basically saying-
loves trolling, doesn't he? though?
Yeah, and he didn't like Djokovic, did he? He'd
But
always,
he really didn't like. He didn't like a lot of players. I mean, he called who was it? Was it Rublev? Who called him a potato? That was quite funny. Which I think is that is an excellent insight. It reminds me a bit of when Paddy the Baddie was like, they were like, "What do you think of Rishi Sunak?" He's like, "Lad, I think he's a mushroom." It's like it's good. Just sort of random food items are a good insult.
yeah, the mushroom's good. What was the Kyrgios and Djokovic original thing? He just slagged him off on court, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he'd beaten him before, and he was like, "Oh, he's not even good."
Yeah.
There's that clip with him and Murray in lockdown. It's so funny where Kyrgios is like gassing up Murray. He's like, bro, like, you're 100% better than Novak. Like, your backhand is... Novak's backhand's terrible, man. It's like, it's actually so bad.
Because also Kyrgios was one of the only people who had a positive record against Djokovic, and maybe one of the others as well, but certainly against Djokovic.
Yeah.
Don't know if he still does, probably not.
I think also he like would take the piss out of him because he was like, oh, he's just trying to be liked. It's so cringy, so cringe. But
So Kyrgios is an early critic, and to be fair, he starts to feel pretty smug with himself as the Adria Tour implodes. So by the end of the second tournament in the tour, some of the spectators are starting to test positive for COVID. And initially, Djokovic and his camp...
Really? No, I don't know.
Shocking.
That doesn't sound
Djokovic and his camp are quite
credible.
dismissive of it. They're kind of like, no, that's not what you're talking about. And then some players start testing positive for it. And then Novak and his wife both test positive at the same time. And the Adria Tour comes crumbling down. It all has to stop. And naturally, the Djokovic clan, having been very dismissive of COVID, like that's not something to worry about, then totally flipped to being like quite hysterical about it. Particularly Novak's dad, who's very quickly looking out for a scapegoat. So Novak's dad, with I'd say impressive levels of narcissism and delusion, he singles out Grigor Dimitrov for
Grigor,
bringing COVID into the Adria Tour.
I just did a thing with Grigor last week and he's a delight. We can't be slagging off Grigor.
Lovely man.
Novak's dad.
Novak's dad, Srijan, he says...
Okay, I'm just going to do him as a slightly older Novak Djokovic, okay? Grigor came sick from... I don't know. What the fuck?
I quite like it. That's
No, it sounds mocking. Who should I... What's another voice I
just
could
do
do it
Novak.
as? Can I do it as Jordan Peterson? Just a bit of fun.
Sure.
Grigor Dimitrov came sick from God knows where, and so it happened. What do you mean happened? He caused great damage to you in Croatia and to us as a family and Serbia, and it's bloody not okay. You think you can bloody spread COVID like that? Oh yeah, you think you can bloody get away with it? No. How about no?
So that's Novak's dad.
That's Novak's dad,
Jordan
yeah.
Peterson.
Yeah. Bit of fun.
So yeah, they were basically angry with the people who'd got COVID. Like that's how it works. I love he came from God knows where. Like
Yeah,
he's been
yeah.
licking toilet seats or something.
Yeah.
It's like, mate, there's a pandemic on.
Also suggesting that he didn't maybe get it at the Adria Tour, right? It's
yeah.
perfectly conceivable.
And
then.
the idea he's done damage to us as a family and the nation of Serbia.
Amazing.
That weird combo of like not worrying about COVID and then when you get it being like really hysterical and like I've got poison in me is a very strange combo.
Yeah. We wonder where Novak gets his sort of, maybe there's something in his dad.
His dad's pretty mental, isn't he? We're gonna have some more.
Yeah,
on him.
there's more mental dad stuff coming up.
Yeah. Anyway, while the Adria Tour scandal, it's actually quite a big scandal for Djokovic. I remember because he becomes probably the most famous face of like vaccine refusal and like what most people would consider irresponsible behavior, basically. So I think he'd always had this like he hadn't won over a lot of the tennis public or the wider public that much, but this means a lot of people are hating on him, right? Which that plays out in an interesting way. We'll see. But tennis does resume. That blows over the Adria Tour thing. But Novak's heel turn is really just getting started. So the US Open does happen that year. It's empty stadium, but tennis is still happening. And in his fourth round tie, Novak, perhaps lacking the sort of the spice of the crowd to feed off, he grows frustrated. And in anger, he pulls a ball out of his pocket and whacks it behind him. Unfortunately for Novak, his telekinesis on this occasion is on the blink. He can't move the ball in time, and it smacks a line judge right in the jugular. They take one to the throat. We've got a clip of it here.
We want to turn now to that bizarre moment at the U.S. Open that so many are talking about.
I thought that first bit of clip was anger in the streets.
Doesn't hit it that hard.
And he immediately spins around. We've got a full clip.
It's not that hard. Come on.
She is making
She
the
hits
most
the
of that.
deck.
I've got to be honest, she is being a little bit.
Anger from the court, frustrated after losing a point to Spain's Pablo Carreño Busta.
I just where that is so
Actually,
new.
no, I'll take it back. It
would
does quite
hurt.
hard. You know what? Actually, I'll take it all back.
Yeah, but that is so fucking New Yorker. Whereas if it was if it was at Wimbledon, they'd be like, oh, I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah, I'm so sorry
Yeah,
for putting
sorry
my
about the
throat
way.
in front of the ball.
Sorry, can I just squeeze past your ball? Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's so fucking.
Yeah.
Thing is, I do actually take it back. He has hit that quite hard.
Yeah.
It's a sensitive area to be hit, but I do think she's made the most of it. Like falling down to the floor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, she's
yeah,
like, "Ugh." Come on, stiff
like
upper
she,
lip.
Yeah. If she wanted to downplay that and get him, tell the umpire it's all right, then I reckon she could have done.
Yeah.
Maybe the shock.
Mhm.
And in fact, the umpire's very shocked, and the umpire disqualifies him. He's booted out the tournament, which I do think is a bit unfair because it was an accident. He's not trying to hit. Obviously, you shouldn't be whacking balls at anger.
The problem is, if you are the most accurate tennis player who's ever lived, the idea that you don't have control over the ball is a little bit questionable. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Saying you can move matter with your mind will come back to bite you when you move matter in someone's neck.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a
But
difficult one, isn't it?
But is it not just like you shouldn't be whacking balls around? Because he didn't mean to hit
It's
her.
pretty much
No,
always
yeah.
Is that always the case if you hit a line judge with a ball?
I think
If
well,
it's outside of play.
the other, and it is very different, but there was an example of where Denis Shapovalov absolutely belted the ball into the line umpire's eye. And it like he's about 17 at this point. He's frustrated, loses a point, whacks it, hits the umpire. And that, like Djokovic hit that ball at probably about 35% pace. Like it's not that hard. Shapovalov hits it at 120% pace. It goes to this guy's eye and he immediately defaults him. But like, I do think there's a distinction. Yeah, I think maybe it does seem a little bit harsh.
Who was it who like directly hit a line judge with their racket?
Oh, David Nalbandian.
yes.
Yeah, Queen's 2012 final. He in frustration, he kicks the
Hoarding.
the hoarding, and then it goes into that is amazing footage actually. If you've got that on
Did you watch
YouTube, because that guy.
Nalbandian.
I mean, look, it looks painful. The shin's not a good area to be hit, but the guy's just literally like, my shin! God! It's amazing.
Well, he's got it this time. It's a magnificent return. And I think there might be a serious issue here on the Nalbandian end. I'm not sure exactly what happened, so I might just hold on a second. But I think Nalbandian, when he'd been pulled out wide on the return, has taken a swing. And if it's his racket that has hit this gentleman here.
I mean, actually, do you know what? Sorry. Do you know what? I've actually very unfairly called both lines people like bit pathetic, and actually when you see it, Nalbandian absolutely nails his knee,
Wow,
his
that is-
shin.
So he goes to kick the hoarding and just kicks him in the shin.
He just kicks the line judge. Literally just
I mean,
boots
fair
him.
enough. I
The
mean,
line
that's-
judge just
Is
keeps
it
going,
bleeding?
why?
Isn't his leg bleeding?
He just keeps going, why? Like,
yeah, I take it back. I think both those people have been very, very hardly done by. I mean, he absolutely clatters that.
he keeps just going, why?
Oh,
If
his
you're
leg's
now
bleeding,
Bandian-
look.
It's quite bad. I mean,
There's
he,
a big gash on his. Oh my god, that is.
he's like,
Yeah,
I love that Nalbandian's talking to the referee, just being like, "Well, it's difficult. What am I going to do?"
it's so funny. There's the final as well. So everyone's just got to go home.
Yeah,
You could just
paid about
imagine all the-
£600 for
all
that
the
ticket.
chaps in the members area being like, "Mate, it's a fucking joke."
I absolutely love that clip. Just the way he keeps just going to him. Why?
But I actually, I think what Djokovic did wasn't as bad as that.
No way.
No.
But yeah,
But Nalbandian didn't want to kick the guy, did he?
I don't know.
It's
Isn't
quite-
isn't that a bit like being like, oh, in frustration, I pushed my arm forward and you happened to collide.
It's quite.
with
It's
it,
quite.
you know?
Older brother has lost at FIFA and then just beats the shit out of the younger. Do you know what I mean? They just beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
It's not really on.
I think, you got to get defaulted in both instances.
Also, doesn't Novak Djokovic have a bit of like spice with the ball kids history where he can be a bit mean when he's like in the zone?
Yeah, he'll often be like, "Bring the balls faster, come on," and like
Yeah.
the ball kids maybe, yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
I
that's
guess when you're in the zone.
I
weird-
don't know.
it's weird,
Would
no,
you
probably-
treat a ball boy like that?
No, but it's weird. I can't really think
Would
of another
you
sport.
treat a ball boy like
I
that?
would definitely treat the ball.
I don't
If
think
had-
you would. You seem like you'd be very nice to the ball boys. You seem like you'd be maybe if anything too nice.
Yeah, they wouldn't be respecting me. Yeah,
Yeah, you'd be like, "Thanks so much for
Like,
the
is
balls."
it alright if I have another ball?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I like to
No
have
worries if
three
not.
and then give
It's
one
weird
back.
though. It's
yeah.
probably the only sport where like children play a very important. Like obviously you have ball boys and ball girls in football or whatever, but like they're not as important.
They're not highly trained.
Yeah, in tennis, it's like they're very much part of the like official staff. You
Yeah.
just think like get an adult, but then I also when I see adult ones, I think it's a bit pathetic.
Yeah, you see that with the US Open where
Yeah.
they're like bigger than the players, and you're like, mate,
Yeah,
get a
grow
fucking
up.
job. Grow up, get a job.
Put some trousers
Put a
on.
suit on and put a tie on, sit up straight, sing the national anthem.
Anyway, so Novak's booted out of the US Open, and at this point, his rep is bad.
Yeah, that's two very big PR hits.
Yeah,
there, isn't it?
among casuals, filthy casuals like myself, his rep is particularly bad. But he does recover to win the Australian Open yet again in 2021. Despite that was the one where he had to live in like a miserable quarantine. All of them did. It's like, 14 days in a Holiday Inn with the window taped shut kind of vibe. I remember because
tough.
that was when Bernard Tomic was putting out some quite spicy content with his girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
Very
that.
attention seeking, but
Yeah, what was he saying again?
They did a sex tape, didn't they?
yeah, but they didn't really. It was
Did
sort of
they?
attention seeking.
Like-
Bernard Tomic is just like a little attention seeking boy. I quite enjoy it.
Yeah, he's the ultimate troll.
Yeah.
Is his girlfriend a tennis player as well?
No, they're not together anymore. The one.
Let's talk about the sex tape. So what happened? What was the?
There was a
what the
photo where she was lying on her front and he was like looming over her bum
Sorry, I
with
love
his
this
mouth.
is being searched in a place of work. No less. It's no. Do type it in. I'm really
It looked like he was. Go on, let's have a look.
looming over her.
Search it.
It
Just
looked like
get
he was
that-
about
just
to
for
rim
academic
her, is
purposes.
how I remember it.
Okay, nice.
I
nice.
can think of how else to
Got a
describe
specific
it.
category of pornography.
Yep. Ass to mouth.
Ass
I
to
believe
mouth.
it's-
Human centipede. Bernard Tomic porn on Pornhub. That comes up.
Can we try and view it on a non-porn? Maybe Google Images.
Mm.
I don't want to get on xhamster.com.
Oh, this
yes.
is one,
I was
yeah.
right.
Oh wow, yeah.
He's basically
okay.
biting her ass cheek.
Sure, and she's an attractive woman.
Yeah.
Of course she is. I've got eyes.
She then posted a video of him like
Oh
smashing
my!
up her laptop.
What? Sorry, has she got a tattoo of herself on her arm?
Is that what that is? You're right.
That
Does
is
look very much like it.
tragic.
You're right. That's her own face, isn't it?
Sorry, if that isn't a red flag, what?
What's,
that is.
what's her name? Oh, Vanessa Sierra. Yeah. Sounds like a fake name.
Mm.
Crikey.
Yeah, I don't know what she's up to now. They broke up. She posted that video of him smashing her laptop up. Do you remember that?
No.
Bernard
no.
Tomic during the hotel quarantine, and I always felt it looked a bit staged. But then she later was like, "Yeah, he was an absolute twat. He smashed my laptop up." So who knows? But anyway, it was a weird tournament because they were all getting just like cabin fever, going a bit crazy in their hotel rooms.
Yeah.
And they all, do you remember they were all posting videos of themselves like practicing against their hotel room
Yeah.
walls. And
Oh,
stuff.
I do remember.
And
that,
it was
yeah.
a bit like, yeah, I know it's COVID, but Australia, can you just fucking chill out a bit? Anyway, Novak overcomes that bizarre experience to win the Australian Open. And this is actually the time where he breaks the record for the longest stretch at world number one.
Mm.
So he's the GOAT, really, at this point.
Yeah.
And he celebrates with a big old street party in Belgrade. It's lovely scenes. But as he edges closer to GOAT status, Novak becomes a target for some nasty characters. So in March of that year, a Serbian model comes forward claiming that she was offered £50,000 to seduce Novak Djokovic as part of a blackmail plot.
Did they try it on Bernard Tomic? And it was too easy, really. So
The bouncer was a little
you need a
smaller.
proper
It
challenge.
was Vanessa Sierra all along.
So this model's called Natalia Skekic, and she was speaking to the very reputable sounding magazine Svet and Scandal. Svet means world. I looked it up. World and Scandal. You can imagine the type of magazine. You know the ones like
Yeah.
That's Life magazine, or
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and they're just
yeah.
like a ghost haunted my bum, sort of that sort of story. Just like weird shit.
Is that a description of the Bernard Tomic sex tape?
Anyway, Svet and Scandal interviewed her, and she said that she met an acquaintance in London, and this acquaintance asked her to secretly film herself sleeping with the world number one, but she turned them down. She said, "I laughed, expecting to say it was a joke, but the man was very serious. I felt very offended and humiliated."
What's really entertaining about this, I think, is the fact that someone who's appeared in a scandal-based magazine go, I was offered to do this, but I actually have more morals than that.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
sorry, you're saying this in Svet and
Yeah,
Scandal.
I'm not too humiliated to sell my story to a supermarket tabloid.
Who's blackmailing him? What are they blackmailing him over?
I think the idea is you catch him cheating. It's a honey
Right.
trap.
Right. Is that what a honey trap is?
Yeah, a honey trap is specifically sleeping with someone. My friend told me an amazing thing about. So obviously, the honey traps were a popular tool for the Soviets during the Cold War.
Right.
But apparently, they gave up using them on French spies because the Frenchmen, they'd be like, "We're going to tell your wife," and the Frenchman would be like, "Go for it."
That's so amazing.
Honey traps don't work in France.
Take it as given, really.
Yeah, it's like, she won't fucking care.
That's brilliant.
So good. But yeah, it was a honey trap. So basically, the idea is you sleep with someone, and now they've got compromising material showing you. I guess you film it or whatever, and then you can blackmail them.
Novak's very happily married, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's no suggestion he does anything in the story. I mean, she doesn't even go to him. But it's kind of interesting that there's these shady figures in the background looking for a piece of him. I mean, I wonder.
Do you think it was the old mafia loan sharks?
Yeah.
Was it one of those
Some pie.
where, you pay off your entire debt, but you forget to do the last 7p, and then over the next 20 years it stacks up, and now it's 50 grand.
Yeah, fascinating.
I like that she still managed to get her payday out of this, though.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Like, she
she's
turned
she
down
made?
the offer and still sold the story.
Svet and Scandal probably not giving you 50 grand, but yeah.
No. Do you think they give you $1,000 for your story?
Because nothing happened, I don't think you're getting much. If she'd
Yeah.
actually shagged him, yeah, you're getting
It's a
loads.
story about her integrity. Someone we don't even know who she
Yeah.
is. She's like, I just need you all to. I need to come out and clear my name. We're like, no
Could have
one
done,
knows
but I
who
didn't.
You
You're
are.
suggesting that we scrape the barrel for stories. It's an interesting little vignette of how the student loans company paid an influencer to try and blackmail Novak Djokovic.
Amazing.
He does dodge this blackmail plot, though, and by January 2022, the world is beginning to emerge from the COVID lockdowns as Novak flies back to Melbourne for the Australian Open. And, Australia, they're still kind of hanging on to the lockdown rules, still pretty tight. And they do
Relax.
he's allowed to come, but it requires him to be vaccinated to enter. Somehow, though, Novak's managed to get an exemption because obviously he's always refused to take a vaccine. But when the Australian public discover that he's been given this exemption, there's quite a lot of uproar. And as he's in the air, Australian press are debating this. There's a lot of anger in the public. And when he lands, he's hauled aside by the Australian Border Force.
They
And
like to haul, to be fair. We've all seen the television
Yeah, have
program.
you ever watched daytime TV on a digital channel?
I love those shows.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
This man might be hoarding 400 kilograms of cocaine.
So
They're absolute bastards.
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
guys.
they are.
I mean, if they'd got the episode with Djokovic, that would have been TV gold.
Oh my god, that would be such a funny sketch. The border control version, and it's Djokovic. That
Is this
would be
you,
so
sir? Pointing
funny.
at the passport. They always
Yeah,
do that,
yeah.
don't they? Making him empty his luggage in front of them. They would
Just weird.
What is this,
shakes and
Manuka
photographs of
honey?
his
You know,
dogs.
you're not allowed to bring algae from outside of Australia.
Yeah, he's got a bag full of flora and fauna.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, we're going to have to confiscate this. What do you mean? It gives me power.
Exactly.
Amazing.
But it was literally, I remember this event, it was unfolding in real time.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
literally, they were like, he's got this exemption, but he's on the plane.
Yeah,
I
it
remember
was
reading the news before
crazy.
he'd seen it.
Mm.
And then everyone was like laughing at him about it, and they were like, there was that thing where Alex Dimonor was laughing at it, or he wasn't sort of explicitly saying this guy's ridiculous, but he was just kind of like rolling his eyes a bit. And then Djokovic was like, I don't ever forget. And then like the next year he played him, and then he beat him like 6-1, 6-1, 6-1 or whatever. yeah, he was so into
So
it.
does he still hate Dimonor? Because
I guess so. I guess that's the implication. Yeah, I guess
that's
the
Katie
implication.
Bolton's boyfriend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the feeling that he's a sort of person who holds grudges.
Yeah. I think it's that thing though. It's like, I don't know, it's tough at the top, isn't it? And he wants to just sort of be, I don't know. He uses it as fuel, doesn't he?
Hang on, so what happened?
So he's pulled aside by Border Force officials, and they detain him for 8 hours. At which point they decide that actually this exemption is invalid. He doesn't have the right evidence for it. So they decide to cancel his visa, and he's thrown into this immigration hotel, which, obviously this is an incredibly stressful situation for Djokovic. But fortunately for him, he has his calm, level-headed dad to speak out on his behalf.
Through
So-
the medium of Jordan Peterson.
Exactly.
Should we
So
do that?
This was his dad's interview with Serbian TV.
They're bloody holding my son captive. If they don't release him in the next half an hour, we will fight them on the street, eh? Jesus was crucified and everything that was done to
That actually is very good crossover, Jordan.
Yeah.
it's actually the sort of thing he would say.
everything that was done to him, and he endured. He is still alive among us. They're trying to bloody crucify Novak in the same way, eh? To underestimate him, to bring him to his knees.
So he thinks it's a plot,
He does, yeah.
Yeah, it
it's,
sounds like
it's
an
sort of-
establishment plot.
Yeah.
Because what? Because they don't like what Novak stands for.
Yeah, his mum has a slightly different motive for this.
Who would
She
this
says,
be good as?
ooh, what female voices do you do?
Theresa May's probably
Oh,
going to be
yeah,
the
let's do
female.
Theresa May.
I can't really remember it, but let's see if I've still got it somewhere. This is a clear political attack on Novak Djokovic so that he doesn't win and doesn't become the greatest of all time. Gets to defrost that one.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Novak Djokovic's mum, but as
That's
Theresa May.
May.
That's
just a
Theresa
bit of
May,
fun.
yeah.
Like
I
a sort
see
of weird
that.
pantomime where it's like, Theresa May is Djokovic's mum.
I'd watch. That sounds like your next project. Just
Yeah.
early seeds of your next project.
Well, I love star stories so much. I would love to do that. Like we did tennis star stories. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Hell
Do
yeah.
you think Novak Djokovic's mum is scraping the mold off the top of his jam?
Mhm.
Anyway, so
Hang on, so she's saying they
She's
don't
saying
like him as the world number one. So
yeah, so I think at this Australian Open, Novak would have either become like won the most Grand Slams or leveled with
Right.
Nadal. So she thinks that this is they've got a political agenda against him doing that
I think
because
she's right in a
the world
sense.
is against Novak.
I think she's right in a sense, which is A, the sort of general people didn't want Djokovic to outrun Federer and Nadal. B, I think people were really angry with him about his vaccine thing and like, was he treated fairly there by the rules by Australia? It was like, because if he hadn't been high profile, that wouldn't have happened. He would have just got his exemption and gone through.
Yeah, I mean, would he have been given an exemption in the first place?
Do
is
you
the-
remember
is
why
the
he got the
debate.
exemption? He said that he tested positive 2 weeks before,
Oh.
which was like having had a vaccine. But then people were like, "But you were at this event like the day after that." So it was like, was
Oh,
it
yeah, I
a fake?
remember
Was it a
that.
fake certificate saying he'd had COVID, or had he just had COVID?
Or was
and
he
gone
just
out?
his body
Yeah.
was so optimized? He just had it and then he was fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's I feel like it's quite a big cultural thing there in that like they've got like tall poppy syndrome is quite a big thing in Australia, right? And Djokovic being this guy who's won so much and like being like I should be an exception to the rules. Like I just don't think that really culturally flies
Yeah,
down under.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah. He
Well,
weirdly got sympathy at this point. I think.
It's-
I
it was
felt.
yeah, there was a big sort of I don't know divide. I think it was just a huge public debate.
Yeah.
And even Scott Morrison, the Australian Prime Minister, wades into it. He tweets,
Bob, let's do this as Bob Catter. You know the guy who in that famous meme where he's talking about gay marriage. Like, let 1,000 blossoms bloom. As far as I'm concerned,
Well, I don't want to talk about it because every day in Queensland, a crocodile rips someone to shreds.
that guy.
Yeah, perfect.
Rules are rules, especially when it comes to our borders. But I don't want to talk about it because every day in Serbia, someone eats Manuka honey and thinks that they're an exception.
yeah. So Scott Morrison tweeted
Well,
that word for word.
I may have slightly embellished that
Yeah,
quote.
we did promise at the end of part one there would be some quite interesting accents. in
accents.
this.
Boy, oh boy, have there been? I've got Slavov Zizek in the arsenal. If you
Go
like
on.
any of that,
Yeah, we could do the
Yeah.
next one.
Should
of
we
that.
do Novak's dad?
So
This is so
yeah,
wonderfully
after this,
niche.
after Scott Morrison's intervention, Novak's dad is sort of wondering, like, you've got the prime minister of that country is against you, so where do you turn to next? And he has one last roll of the dice.
as Slavov Zizek.
I call on Queen Elizabeth, the leader of the Commonwealth, to intervene and protect the human rights of my son and to stop the political persecution carried out against him since he came to Australia.
It's a good one.
That's a really good one. It
It's a
must be
good
hard
one.
to do that.
I don't know. I think Zizek's an impressionist dream, isn't he?
Yeah.
Anyway,
So the substance of that it was
substance
was any substance.
was that Novak's dad Oh no, yeah, Novak's dad
Called on the
called on
Queen.
Queen Elizabeth to intervene and free Novak from his
Right.
hotel.
Was she on the way out? Liz
Yeah, I
was
was
on the
gonna say, this
way
is
out
one of
by
her
this
last-
point.
I know. It was, yeah, she, yeah.
It's her last Australian
She sort of
Open,
had,
isn't it?
This and Liz Truss was about to come rolling.
Yeah.
in.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine
yeah.
the Queen's got other shit to worry
She,
about.
unfortunately for Novak, she did. She had bigger issues
Would have
on
been
her
great
plate at
if-
this point.
There'd been a constitutional crisis caused
Yeah.
because the Queen
This is
abused her power.
bullshit. Let Novak get into your fucking country. One of my better impressions. Let Novak in, you twats.
I can
That'd
imagine
be
her
good.
liking Djokovic. Didn't she have quite unpredictable views on who she liked?
Yes, that's true. She didn't like
She-
Thatcher, did she?
Yeah, I think not.
She liked Michael Owen was her favourite player because
He
he
looked
was,
very
he was
clean.
very clean, which Djokovic does too.
Yeah, he does look very
So,
clean, Novak
yeah,
Djokovic.
his
Barely a
tensions-
hair out of place.
Excellent hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It doesn't work.
yeah,
though.
it doesn't work. She doesn't grant him a royal pardon. And
God's sake.
there's a bit of back and forth. Djokovic appeals the decision, but he eventually is deported out of Australia. There's actually some speculation that he's going to be banned from the country for 3 years. I think that's what happens normally if you are deported. But he does return to for the Australian Open the following year and wins it.
Of course.
He does.
Redemption.
Yeah,
So
he
was
does.
he didn't play in that year before because he got kicked out?
Yeah.
That's fucking...
Yeah, I mean, he could. This is the thing, because he also wasn't allowed to play at the US Open that year because of vaccine
the
rules.
American rules, yeah.
So he could have won even more Grand Slams.
Yeah, exactly.
And would have.
And would, yeah. I mean,
He would have won
Australian,
that
Australian Open, I think he's won 10 Australian Opens. I think.
They
Yeah.
have that side in Australia
Highest.
where they want, like, maybe, to be honest, maybe what they were doing was completely fair. But I remember thinking at the time that it was like really OTT on the rules. And
Yeah.
they do have that side a bit in Australia, don't they?
They're like conservative. They're quite socially conservative.
yeah, there's like a lot of
nation, right?
rules around like drinks in bars and stuff, isn't there? You can't order doubles and
Yeah,
bit
there's
nanny
a
state.
curfew. I remember when I went to Sydney. There's a curfew as well. You can't.
curfew.
But
then
if you
it-
look too drunk, then you can't.
And they
Is
quite-
there-
sort
but
of
is there not
They
at
quite
the,
like saying
at the,
no and
Yeah, at the Australian Open, don't they? Didn't they
boozy.
introduce that court last year that's just like a bar overlooking one of the courts?
Yeah, with EDM.
It's like, yeah.
They're confusing, but I remember thinking at this time it's a bit like, come on, let's move on.
But then, like most of the Australians you see in London are like absolutely battered all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time. As
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of that they have to get away
yeah.
from it.
They're like
Yeah,
drunk
yeah.
sailors on shore leave. I mean, they're almost literally.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wimbledon, though, has slightly more lax regulations, and in between that whole Australian Open saga, he beats Nick Kyrgios in that famous Wimbledon final, the 700 drinks bro
Final.
final. That's
Yeah.
sort of what it's
It
best
was-
known for.
And that was where they buried the hatchet afterwards.
Yeah, they have a bit of a bromance really
Yeah,
after
sort
that.
of bromance the super villains.
Yeah, they're really friends after this.
Yeah, it was like, we're not so different, you and I, kind of feel to it, wasn't it? Yeah, it was really sweet. Then they were like, oh, we're going to play doubles together and stuff. But I think, again, key, at least in Britain, key moment for like the rehabilitation of Novak's rep, or like him becoming popular. It was like, he's been through it in Australia. Yeah, maybe he was a dick, but they were a bit unfair on him, and now he's come back and he's been quite
He was very
sweet with
magnanimous
Kyrgios.
in his
very
his
magnanimous
interview
I
after
think
the
he
final.
really won over a lot of people there.
And also, you know, since when he lost to Alcaraz, he was extremely professional, magnanimous. Like,
Yeah.
you know, he was like, "Oh God, this hurts. It hurts, man. But great win. You're
Yeah.
fantastic." And actually, like, I don't know if he gets enough credit for that, because I think it is very hard in those moments to be really like, yeah, he is good in that sense. I think.
It's also around this time that video went round of Djokovic's coaches mixing up this mysterious drink for him. So there's a few different videos of that. They're him and his dad and coach, whatever, in the stands, pouring these weird sort of mixtures into a bottle, which they then deliver to Djokovic on the court. There's one video in particular where they spot a camera. There's this video in particular. His coaches notice that somebody's filming them mixing up this drink and hide it from the camera. They're all sort of leaning in front of it.
It's exactly like, if anyone's ever seen the video of Maradona doing coke in the dugout when he's a manager,
Yeah.
and his team spot the cameras and all like block it and kind of act like they're just standing there. It's exactly like that. They're like fucking around with bottles, and then suddenly they like point at the camera, and then it's like, What are they hiding?
I think I honestly think though it is just edge. Like these people are going to be so paranoid about being like 1% better if they're like, oh, I've seen the exact bit of creatine that he puts in his. You know what I mean? Like
the lion's mane.
yeah, exactly. This 1 milligram of lion's mane mushroom with 2 milligrams of algae. If Nadal knows that, then I'm fucked. You know, like I genuinely think that is probably
They're
how
not
they
going to be
think.
mixing anabolic steroids in the fucking
No, yeah, they're not doing it in the
players'
stadium
box.
if they were going to do it.
Yeah. But then it's quite weird because then there's the other video which we've got here where Novak's like asking them, what do I do with the bottle? And he's like almost like inhaling.
Yeah,
it's like blowing in it.
gas,
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's nothing untoward.
Oh, I have seen this. Maybe it's smelling salts or something. No, you
Yeah.
wouldn't put that in water, would you?
He's just saying, shall I have another one there, isn't he?
God, he's really like a machine, isn't he?
Yeah, it's like just quick oil.
Oil change.
He's always pristine, isn't he, clothing-wise?
He is. You're right. There is never a hair out of place. But he is. He's learned. He also the way that he conserves energy. He's not running any. He runs at exactly the right speed to the ball. He hits the ball at exactly the right pace. It's kind of unnerving.
That's where the like slightly robotic reputation comes from, even
Yeah,
though
yeah.
the rest of him's too emotional to be a robot.
Yeah, it's like playing against him is like I think a lot of players say he shrinks the court because he's so quick and he just makes you miss. Playing him is like playing Pong, basically. Like he's Pong.
It's coming back.
Yeah, he's literally just Pong.
Yeah.
How does he explain the bottle thing?
So
gets asked.
he describes it as a magic potion my physio prepares in his lab.
I like that.
Which
kind of winding.
yeah, it's
winding
quite
everyone up a bit.
mysterious.
Yeah, quite right. That.
Yeah. Whatever is in the bottle, it works though. And in 2023, Djokovic wins his 23rd Grand Slam at the French Open and finally surpasses Nadal's record haul. So, if there was any question about him being the GOAT, then
my GOAT.
Yeah,
then he's definitely got it now.
I mean, Nadal will always be the GOAT on clay, but Djokovic is the GOAT.
The GOAT, the Billy Goat.
Does that?
Don't know, is the Billy
Does that
Goat
work?
the bigger goat?
He feels like didn't he used to do that thing where he talks about like spending time with wolves. I feel like he'd spend time with goats. You know, be like, I am here in the mountains learning about the physicality of the goats and the way that they are able to channel the milk into many products for making the body.
Or do you think maybe he just does one of those goat yoga things? Have you seen those?
yeah.
What do you
he'd
do?
that.
It's basically you just do yoga in a
Near
room
a
full of
goat.
baby goats and
Oh,
they
right.
jump on you.
What did he do with wolves?
Sort of
He's
bottomless
like
brunch
I went
type
to
thing.
spend time with the wolves
runs with
in
them
the
naked.
hills. Yeah, it's that kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
thing. He loves like getting back into nature.
Yeah, quite like that. It's
Quite
a bit
primal.
Gothic.
I like it.
Yeah,
Mm.
primal and gothic and a bit.
Maybe there's a toxic man inside of me.
I
but
know, I think
I
Eastern
want
Europe,
to do that.
Eastern Europe lends itself well to that vibe, doesn't it? Because they've got wolves and they've got like amazing mountains and like.
Yeah.
I like that.
Mm.
It's romantic. I guess now he's in his sort of elder statesman era, where it's still winning a lot. Do we feel like his fingers are being prized off?
Yeah, a little bit. I think he doesn't look as fast as he used to because I mean, God, like he's up against Alcaraz, who's like a Duracell bunny, and like you lose a step of pace as you age, right? And like, but he's still unbelievable. Like I think he maybe has another slam in him, possibly.
Yeah.
And I guess he can even sort of laugh at himself a little bit. We've kind of seen it with the Kyrgios interview onwards, but he still can't quite let go of that old intensity. Last year, a clip emerged of him screaming at a fan, "Shut the fuck up!" And he then reverted to his favourite Serbian swear phrase, which was "fuck your mother in a pussy." That's a direct translation. I did
Not
online.
her pussy,
A pussy.
but a pussy.
It might be her, yeah, in any
a
pussy.
conduit pussy, I believe, is what's being
Proxy
referred
pussy,
to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've translated that directly, so it probably is a bit more elegant in Serbian, but it's just like a standard swear. I've noticed Spanish and Eastern European languages have very creative, like, sweary terms.
Well, but in Holland as well, like
Really?
they say "get cancer" to each
Yeah,
other.
that's
Really?
You heard
horrible.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
They really don't. There's
Wow.
no chill. Whereas like
Wow.
that
Is that like a kind of how
It's just a
Australians
thing.
say cunt to mean
I
mate?
think
Is it like
so.
that?
Yeah.
But I'm
I
like,
think quite a few of the Dutch ones are just different diseases. The swear
Really?
words. It's just quite,
But is it like, has it
horrible.
become almost
Really?
friendly? You know, like the Australian
No.
cunt thing's like, I
I
want
don't
this
know.
trying
I
to get
don't
cancer.
know. Great to see you again. Get cancer.
Yeah.
I don't know if
That's
it is
mental.
that. Yeah, it's
No,
pretty
it's a bit
wild.
Dark. I think I prefer fuck your mother in a pussy.
Yeah, I think it's quite. It is creative.
There's also a
isn't it?
variation of it that Luka Modric,
Yeah,
who's
he's-
Croatian, does, which is a dog fucks your mother in the pussy. But it's not like directed at anyone. It's just like, it's like going, fucking hell. Mother.
Yeah.
I think our swearing is weak. Compared.
No, because we're an embarrassment as a nation. We're
But
look
if
at
you
us.
saw me
look,
get-
look at the three of us. We're just three soy boys just sitting here. You know.
Well, next time you stub your toe, dog fucks your mother in a pussy. There's another clip where he yells, "I will fuck all your mothers, all of them."
But again, that's kind of ambitious. You know, I kind of respect that.
He thinks big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he's
got
the
24
goat.
Grand Slams and I can do all your mums.
I have got this experience. I must go to. I will have sex with everybody.
Yeah. Nadal can do that.
Yeah. Nadal, his body will.
Maybe on clay.
That's why he's on the vegan diet. Yeah, on clay, he can have sex with
Fuck
everyone's
all your
mum.
mothers on clay only. But could he do it on grass?
Just
Man
in
hard.
Djokovic's early shagging, Federer's there, just like, well, I mean, it's not the story of the guy who stopped having sex, you know, for the only time, you know. I've never stopped having sex, apart from when my back was ruined, you know, against Blake's mum.
Another sign that the old Novak is still going strong was last year at Wimbledon when he played Holger Rune and completely misunderstood fans chanting Rune's name. I mean, like if you're a cricket fan, they do it for Joe Root as well. They go for Holger Rune, they go Rune, but it's not a boo. And,
No, it's not a boo.
Novak, being quite a thin-skinned guy when it comes to public criticism, he took that pretty badly, and he had a response for them in the post-match interview.
You seem to enjoy your interaction with them as well. Well, to all the fans that have respect and that stayed here tonight, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it.
There's a butt coming.
And to all those people that have chosen to disrespect the player, in this case me, have a good night.
Wait, there's more.
Good night, good night. Very good night. Yeah. I'm hoping that they were just commenting on Rune and that they weren't disrespecting you. They were. I don't accept it. No. I know they were cheering for Rune, but that's an excuse to also boo. Listen. I've been on the tour for more than 20 years, so trust me, I know all the tricks. I know how it works. It's fine, it's okay. I focus on the respectful people that have respect, that pay the ticket to come and watch tonight.
He is now getting booed, isn't he?
Yeah. Now it's just a boo.
There's an irony in that he was like, oh, thanks a lot for booing me, and no one was, and then actually people did start booing him.
I think he's completely misjudged that.
Do you think, I don't know, I kind of think that people took that opportunity to
When originally
sort
in the
of-
match?
Yeah,
or-
during the
The
I
thing
mean,
is, it's like also at Wimbledon, I remember watching McEnroe at the time talk about this, and he was like, well, you know, the guy's just got every single year he goes to these places, he's the underdog, everyone's cheering against him, and eventually he's just like, well, fuck you. He
I mean, that's true.
didn't say that on the BBC. But I don't know. I've got I've got time for that because I think he does. People were all every final he played, people were cheering. Obviously Murray, like people are going to be cheering against him, but like Federer as well. Like every single year, no one wanted him to win, and
So I get that. But do you think
he is
specifically when
wrong.
they're saying
I think he's incorrect here,
in the
yeah.
micro, but in the macro, he's right, basically?
But it's also like, was there general sentiment against Djokovic in that match? Yes, I think
Okay,
there was.
yeah.
But I don't think the rune was specifically against him.
Yeah.
But
It's funny to me that he's picked on the wrong thing, but you're definitely right about the general sentiment.
like directionally his attitude is correct, but like in the micro,
It's like kicking a line judge in the shin, you know?
that poor guy. I can't believe how hard I went on that guy. I was like, oh, what a pussy. He was just like, oh my leg.
He's literally just like just blood pouring from his leg.
Yeah, if that guy listens, and God knows he probably does, and the line umpire with the Djokovic thing, I'm very sorry for what I said. I take it all back.
Yeah, I do like it when people are like, ouch, my leg. Yeah, I think for me that kind of shows all the sides of Novak Djokovic because like he's kind of being good-natured about it, but he's also being a bit thin-skinned. And I don't know,
I quite enjoyed that
Always
interview.
like a sports star who's just like being a bit real and honest in an interview and not just being like, I'm going to be really boring and stage manage. So
Yeah.
good on him for that.
And authenticity is interesting, and people, I think particularly in the UK, can really smell that out. It's why like Alcaraz, for example, is just the happiest guy, and he's just like every match he finishes, he's like, well, I try to hit the ball and I think I hit and I'm happy for that. And that's it. But you're like, that's exactly who he is, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I hit the ball out, I'm still happy. I hit it in, very happy for that. And you're like, I think the issue with Djokovic maybe is that people have felt that sometimes he's kind of masking but he's complex, so it's hard to kind of, like there's a big basket of different things in him.
Do you think Novak is the most, of any like sporting great, the most underappreciated?
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of someone else who's got like
question.
villains. He's kind of come out the other side of that now, I think. I think he'll get a lot of, this is coming out during Wimbledon, but I think he gets a lot of love now. But, you know what I mean? Like, for someone who's had people root against them for that long, outside of wrestling, where like being the villain's the point.
Yeah.
I struggle to think of someone else.
Yeah. No, I
Schumacher,
think-
Michael Schumacher.
Was he
Oh,
that much
yeah.
of a hated
Do you think he's
figure?
some
Yeah,
kind
he
of-
was quite. I mean, I was fairly young, but like he was a bit of a villain. He was like a bit aggressive with people, and a bit like people didn't like his like slightly like driven, bloodless thing.
Yeah.
There's some similarity there.
Yeah, there
Obviously,
is. Yeah,
People's attitudes have softened on him.
yeah, that's for sure. I don't know. I think with Djokovic, I think I would agree with that. I think for the amount he's achieved, and also don't forget like the amount he's done for a sport. Like he has been an ambassador for tennis. I think he has got a lot of shit for that, which is tough.
He's sort of the Cristiano Ronaldo of tennis, really, in terms of like the upping that level and his like my body as a temple vibe.
I think I prefer Novak as a guy.
Me too.
Yes,
I guess
I
I'll
agree.
say. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, the divisiveness. All right, well, I think that's all we've got time for, Josh.
Do we
thanks
give
a
a verdict? Is that?
Oh
is
yeah,
that
we
a
do, don't we?
sort of
I mean, wrong or not is the tradition.
Oh right,
binary.
Wrong and no.
Weird on a stag do though.
Oh yeah, you don't want him on the stage. He's
You
not
know
going
the
to be on the
cousin,
stage.
it's the brother-in-law or the cousin on the stag do who's like quite intense.
Yeah.
I had to go to the mountains for 3 hours earlier today to focus on my body, and I'm here in the pub, but I will not have. Do you have any wheat-free vodka that has not been near grains? I don't like it here. It's messing with my energy.
And then I imagine like maybe doesn't really drink on all of it, but just like corners you for a good hour on like crypto. And then in a strip club is like a bit overzealous, actually. Just like keeps getting dances and is just staring at them. You know what I mean? They're like, is he having a good time? But he keeps paying, so I think he's having a good time. That's what I think he is on the stag too.
Very interesting idea.
But you know, he's not trying to be one of the boys, he's trying to win.
Yeah, I think
Who's the wildest one of the tennis tour on the stag do?
Boris Becker.
Curious.
Boris
yeah.
Becker would be
I think Kyrgios talks a fucking good game.
Yeah, no, you're right. Well, maybe Alcaraz actually.
Yeah,
Alcaraz-
it's
Alcaraz
fun
would
and
be
free.
fun.
He's the
Yeah.
guy I want to be with. You know, when you get
Yeah, yeah.
splintered off, you want to be with Alcaraz.
He would
and
bring
not-
another bottle of Grey Goose.
You don't want to
out,
be,
yeah.
guys. I'm stuck with Djokovic. None of you are answering the phone. I think Boris Becker is like obviously the wild man.
Yes.
Hard to see where I think Agassi maybe doesn't show up, or like
Yeah.
comes on day 2 and then does.
Agassi just disappears and
Yeah,
you
no
find-
one
you
ever
find-
knows where he went.
You find him at the
Federer
airport,
be
just
slagging
like,
him off, being like,
sort
"Look,
of-
this isn't the guy who left the stag early
Yeah.
for the first time in his career." You know?
Yeah, Federer's the guy enforcing the fucking like, well,
Yeah.
mate, you fucking went to bed at 11, so I don't know what you're talking about. You gave up.
I've never gone to bed at 11 myself, you know. Not even on John's stag when I was hanging out of my ass. I was there.
And Nadal's just glue, just like standard, you know, performer, sure.
Yeah, he's in the middle of the pack.
Middle of the pack. Just,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's time, everyone have to drink now. Come on. I can imagine him enforcing actually. You know?
It's weird. I think we could probably get a whole episode out of really digging into that.
That's funny.
Yeah, well, we have to come back for that.
Yeah,
For the stag,
the
do,
stag,
the tennis
the
stag. do.
What a crossover. of
Slavoj Žižek
Themes
will be
in my
making an
themes in my
appearance.
tour and the podcast. It's great.
Josh, thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me as
We
ever.
always love it.
I
At
love
Josh Berry Comedy, live shows, get your fucking ticket.
Get your fucking tickets, you
fucking get
twat.
it.
Don't even
Yeah.
bother coming, actually.
Yeah.
I don't need you
Yeah,
there.
if you're going to be like that, don't fucking bother.
Don't fucking bother. Either come with a good attitude, don't come at all.
I don't think you can cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Josh Berry Comedy.
Uh,
Zach, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And thanks a lot for listening. See you next time.